off the night. It's an honor to be here. And I tell you what, it's kind of crazy to see a vision or a dream come to reality. You know, with all the people that are here, it's amazing to see all the old faces. I mean, I can't believe that everything's kind of happening. But I wanted to take the time quickly to just introduce our MC for the night. It's kind of funny. I was watching his documentary called The King of Kong, and I was like, man, this movie is awesome. You know, this is the coolest thing. And lo and behold, you know, he was a football player that played for Coach Bendorf, and it's pretty amazing. He's had a great career in the NFL. He's played for the Arizona Cardinals. You know, he played for 5 years in the NFL. He had a great career. He played for some of the worst teams. But nonetheless, he played in the NFL, and he's gone on to pursue his dreams, and he's a producer now. He works as a College Game Day Live analyst, and his story is really pretty amazing. And he's taken the time to be here with us and lead this event. And so I'd like to introduce Ed Cunningham.
Keep it going for Dan. He's done an amazing job putting this all together. This is his brainchild. The best part about being asked to MC this is I only really know Coach Bendorf, although you were my JV head coach, as a shot put and discus coach. See? Because I wasn't good enough to play defensive line at Mount Vernon. I started 50 games in the NFL as a center, and I didn't know how to use the button press. I still don't know how to do it. It's a real honor and privilege to be here, Coach. 2 state championships, 130 and 35 overall. The stats just keep stacking up, all the men that you've put out. So everyone who's strapped on a helmet and has been told you're not doing it right or you're doing it perfectly by Mark Bendorf, please stand up. Or put a shot put or discus in your hand and had him tell you to lead with your left hip a little earlier. These are the stats that matter, Coach. These are why we're all here, is we were impacted by you in a way that it transformed the field. It came in times in our lives where maybe we didn't know who we wanted to be or what we wanted to be, and you look around and you see a lot of successful folks. And that's what teachers and educators do, and that's what a coach is, and you're a great one. Congratulations, Coach. Thank you so much. But you have to, if you're a Mount Vernon grad, remember the dark blue Corvette. 82? Was that an 82 vet? Because they got really bad in like 85. Yours was still cool. It didn't have the chrome. I remember it was the T-tops still worked. They probably leaked a little bit though, didn't they? I walked into Mount Vernon High School in July of 1983. I was 6'2", 160 pounds. And as I walked down, I had heard that the weight room was open, and if you wanted to play football at Mount Vernon, which was where I was going to be a freshman, your ass better be in the weight room in July at the very latest. So as I walked down the hall, there was 2 guys sitting on the floor across from the open door, and you could hear it. It stunk. That place stunk. And I kind of smelt it. I'd never lifted a weight in my life, played a little basketball. And you could smell it and you could hear it. And there was these 2 men sitting on the floor, one older than the other, one much taller than the other. And as I came down the hall, the younger one popped up. I didn't know that it was one of the top lieutenants to Bruce Patrick at the time, Mark Bendorf. And he stuck out his hand and he said, "Hi, I'm Coach Bendorf." And I said, I'm Ed Cunningham. He said, you want to play football? And I said, yeah. And he turned around to Coach Patrick and goes, "He's got a pretty good frame, Coach. Let me go in." My first experience. You were the first coach I met at Mount Vernon. And we all look back and we wonder where it all began. And sometime, probably my junior year, this other little Bendorf started running around our field. And I got to know Pete Bendorf, who has, in 2002, beat Mark for the Northern Region Championship, and he lists that as his most proud accomplishment. The Bendorfs are like the Stoops. They're a coaching family, but we want to hear about the beginnings. Pete, please come up and tell us something we don't know about your brother.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're not coaching in the fall, so there's no retaliation. Ed said he's 6'2", 160 when he was a freshman. Shortly after I met him, I think he was about 230, 240. And then he was up to about 300 with a full beard when he was playing with the Cardinals. I think he's back down to 6'2", 160 again. So I'm going to put on my glasses here because I have no prayer of reading this or making sure I hit my notes here. First, I'd like to thank Dan Adams and all the guys that put this together. This is incredible. I spoke with Dan back, about the time Mark announced his retirement. Do you want to come up here? Come on. This is Zach. Zach is 100 miles an hour. He's 6 years old, and he's not afraid of anything, obviously. You see that. Here's Nick. Okay, guys. This might not be a good idea. All right. But now I've already lost my train of thought. No, Dan said he wanted to do something, and in typical Robinson fashion, I mean, they rallied, they designed this whole thing. It's just first class all the way. Guys, this ain't gonna work. Yeah, in a minute. But again, I'd like to thank Dan. I can't see anything up here. I'm in trouble. I know Mark would have preferred the limelight not be on him. That a chance for all you guys, the Mount Vernon crew, the Chantilly crew, the Robinson crew, to get back together and fellowship a little bit, and clearly that's happening. This band of brothers that's in this room is, and Ed kind of touched on it, it's that mutual commitment, that hardship, the sweat, everything that you guys put in together that's brought you here tonight and to celebrate Mark's retirement. After much reflection and in the spirit of brevity, I figured I'd take a couple of minutes and just focus on the three questions that people ask me most about Mark. Are we good? All right. The one I get often asked the most is what it was like growing up with Mark. Many of you have experienced Mark as a teacher and as a coach for 4 years. And for me, it's been 50 years. He comes by his mentoring skills naturally, let me tell you. I have many bruises, chipped teeth, broken noses. It's all part of the deal. But it was his job, as he will tell you, and it was all worth it for me, to make sure that I grew up tough and that I never made excuses. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. Whether it was playing basketball in the driveway or ping pong in the basement, we always competed. We always competed. I'm going to share one brief story with you. I was about 10 years old, and it was a snowy January day. I'm sure we got out of school. It maybe snowed a half inch. Fairfax County closed. Now, I think there was actually a couple inches on the ground. But Mark challenged me. I came down in the morning. I had a T-shirt and shorts on, no shoes, any of that. And he said, hey, I want you to run to the end of the driveway and get the newspaper. Well, I was up for the challenge. So I took off. I sprinted through the 6 inches of new fallen snow, and I grabbed the newspaper, and I sprinted back to the door. And he was standing there with the door locked. And I'm like, okay, I did what you asked. He said, you're not done. You got 3 laps around the house as fast as you can go. He goes, it'll be worth it. So I sprinted around the house. My feet are still numb. I think I lost a few toes. But again, that was part of the deal. It was toughening time. It was time for me to meet the challenge, as many of you know. I could give you many, many more examples. I'm not going to bore you with all that. The second question that I get asked all the time, what is it like coaching against your brother? Well, for me, I think many of you know we've never coached together other than a couple of all-star games. But in the summer of 1970, both Mark and I drank the Kool-Aid. We started playing the game of football, and for the next 40 years or so, 41 years, I guess it's been, it really has been our lives. And for me, as his younger brother, it's just been a great experience. I've got to observe, compete against, and you know, it's just been great. Let me tell you a couple things. It's for me, it's a lot like the memories I have growing up, but I'm just going to touch on a few. I remember my Oakton team in 1997 playing Robinson. It was early in the season. I remember walking to the locker room down 37-0, thinking I was the worst coach in America, and what the hell was I going to tell my team at halftime? My team captain came up to me, and I believe Eugene Mitchell, I think, is here, had ripped the ball out of my team captain's arms and raced about 50 yards for a touchdown. And my captain came over to me and he said, "Take me out, coach." He goes, he took the ball from me like I was a baby. The final score was 37-7. I thank you, Mark, for showing a little mercy on us. I remember 1998, third game of the season. Played Robinson. They had a 17-game win streak. As many of you know, he won state championship the year before at Oakton. We finally beat him 17-7. Fond memory from me, number one. I remember 4 more years of beatings that we took consistently over there at Robinson, and then finally getting a chance to hold the trophy at Robinson. Ed called it my finest moment. I would say it's one of them for sure. These guys are pretty close. Actually, they're a little better. But the regional championship in 2002, scoring with 50 seconds left to win 31-29. Certainly an opportunity to compete against some of the best teams in this area. And anytime you lined up against Mark, you knew you had to bring it. But most of all, I remember the times just being part of what he was doing. I remember December of 1983 down at Pulaski County. Mount Vernon's down 21-6 with 2 minutes to go, running the wishbone and winning 28-21 in overtime. Incredible, incredible game. I also remember the next week down at Virginia Beach playing Kempsville High School, state championship #1, a 10-0 victory. And I remember riding the bus and John Remeshevsky playing Eye of the Tiger on the bus. It was great.